Hello everyone, and welcome back to another pre-recorded lesson video. This is it, y'all. This is the last lesson of Module 1. We got through an entire module together. Congratulations. Also, we're basically at the end of the first 9 weeks. Remember, the 9 weeks, at the end of the 9 weeks is when grades get finalized for report cards. So, great job. Y'all made it through the first 9 weeks of virtual. For those of you coming back to school for the second 9 weeks, hopefully y'all are in my class. If not, and you're sticking with virtual, we are in it again for a second 9 weeks. So let's keep the momentum going and keep rocking and rolling, right? So announcements. Remember, grades are due tomorrow before midnight. They get finalized Thursday night, and I have to put everything in Friday morning. So turn in everything that you are missing. So that means turning in assessments, daily grades, this new assessment, right, the 9-week one. So get everything turned in. If you need help knowing which ones you're missing, let me know and I'll get a list over to you, okay? Also, we're having a district assessment tomorrow. I'm publishing it Thursday morning, so get that done. Thursday is basically just for you to get assignments turned in, turning in the district assessment, and turning in that 9-week major assessment portfolio, okay? Thursday is basically just for turning in everything, okay? Also, if you haven't done STAR testing yet, come into office hours. Remember, this is mandatory. And book pickup. If you have not picked up the books yet, you need to do that. If you're coming into school for the second 9 weeks, then you don't really have to worry about it because whenever you're here, we're going to get you the book. If you're remaining virtual, you need to come pick up the book because you're starting Module 2 next week, next Tuesday, and we're starting a new book, right? And I can't find an online copy of this one yet, so you're going to need the physical copy of the book to do all the work that you need to do. Also, you don't have school on Friday or Monday. Y'all are going to be starting the second 9 weeks on Tuesday. So y'all have a 4-day weekend. Woohoo. So moving on into lesson 33, this is a learning goal. We're going to present narrative writing. Don't pay attention to this. What I really want to go over in this lesson is revising your writing for your 9-week major assessment and improving your word choice in it, right? So in the current question, the only one that really matters is what does it mean to be a storyteller, right? And what is the power of storytelling? Remember, y'all are the storytellers in this one, and in the cover letter that you have to write along with the 3 poems, you need to say or explain to me why the story that you're telling me about the event that you're going that you went through is an important one, and how the poetic types and the poems that you wrote are important to the story itself, okay? So keeping up with the theme of the last couple of days, we've just been working on the 9-week assessment, right? And anything you might need help with. So revise. So what I want y'all to do is hopefully you have a draft already. If not, then please watch the previous lesson video on how to get started with a draft. Because if y'all wait till Thursday to get started on this, it's not going to be good work, right? You're going to be rushed. You're not going to have the same amount of work that you would have if you spent a couple days on this and revising a draft constantly to get the best version of it, right? So if you do have a draft and you've already started working on the final copy, I highly recommend you go in and revise. And what you're going to be revising for specifically is structure, the poetic type that you chose, and seeing if the poem that you wrote fits the characteristics of that poetic type that you chose for that poem, right? If you want to know the characteristics of the poetic type, I highly recommend going through previous lessons and finding the lesson where I introduce that specific poetic type to find the listed characteristics, right? I'm going to upload a list of specific poetic type characteristics for some and put it in tomorrow's folder so that you know what type of characteristics each poem has, so that you know what your poem should be structured like, okay? And another thing you should be revising for or editing for is word choice. right? Specifically for descriptive and sensory language and figurative language. Remember on that checklist I gave y'all of what I'm looking for in your final portfolio, it says that you need at least 1 to 2 figurative language in your poems. So either you can have 2 metaphors, 2 similes, or 1 metaphor and 1 simile, right? You can do other figurative language like hyperboles or allusion, but I recommend metaphors and similes because those are the 2 that we've been working on specifically during class, right? So I'm going to give y'all, I'm going to pull up that example poem again. The example poems that we've been going over and what your poem should sort of look like. Because this poem right here, or all 3, have a great example of descriptive and sensory language and figurative language. So for this one right here, right, black river streaking down her face, or the whole thing, I can tell she has been crying, black river streaking down her face. The author is comparing her mom crying and her makeup running, right, to black river streaking down her face, right? She's crying so much, it looks like rivers, right? Another one is, I have a big angry scar like the world's ugliest necklace hiding underneath my scarf. She's comparing the scar on her neck from the surgery to the world's ugliest necklace. And look right here, the word ugliest, that is an example of a descriptive and sensory language word, right? So whenever you're going through your own poems, your drafts, or your final copy, edit to see if you have words like this. Remember, look for specific adjectives, active verbs, right? Concrete nouns, right? Remember, concrete nouns are words that we can see, feel, taste, smell, touch, or hear as well, right? Your 5 senses, right? You need to be very descriptive in your word choice in your poems, because whenever I'm reading it, I should be able to picture what you're writing in my head, right? I should be getting a visual representation of your words. And you get that through descriptive and sensory words and figurative language, okay? I'm looking for very effective metaphors and similes in your writing. Another one is this one, right? In the last poem, he says, I have magic powers like Harry Potter. That's a simile and an allusion, right? So I'm looking for a very descriptive poem, right? Because that's what we've been working on constantly. So your form should be great and your content should be great, right? Your poem should be structured well. It should have the characteristics of the poetic type, and it should have a narrative arc running through it. So your form should be perfect, and the content, your word choices, should have clear events, right? I should be able to imagine what you're writing, right, in my head, right? And you should have figurative language in there, metaphors and similes, right? That's what I'm looking for in your poems, and that's what you should be going over before you submit it and seeing if you have those things in your poem, right? And if you need help with descriptive and sensory language words and what they mean, look through today's folder. Like I will go back in the previous lessons, find that chart I had of descriptive and sensory language words and what they do, and I will upload that back so y'all know what y'all should be looking for specifically. That makes sense, okay? So look through today's folder, which is going to be the 1014 folder, and see if your poem has those things, okay? That's what you should be looking for, what you should be editing for, and that's what I should be seeing after you submit your poem, okay? Moving on. Also, don't forget about your cover letter. Some of y'all are sort of forgetting about the cover letter because it's last. The cover letter is a big part of your grade as well, right? I don't think the cover letter should be that hard. I think the hardest thing about this assignment are your 3 poems, but you still need the cover letter, right? And the cover letter is you explaining your poems, essentially, why you decided to write the poem about what you did and why you chose those poetic types, right? And why you telling that story that you did is so important to you and why being a storyteller is important in general, right? That's what your cover letter is for. You're explaining your 3 poems, and it is necessary, and I am grading that as well. For your cover letter, it doesn't have to be a whole lot. I just had to be able to see that you understand what the relationship of the poetic type that you chose and the content that you decided to write. Right? There should be a clear relationship in your 3 poems, and you should be able to explain that relationship in your cover letter, if that makes sense. And also, office hours before you click submit. Remember, if you show up to office hours to get your poems read and edited by me, or you need help, come into office hours and I'll give you extra credit on this 9-week assessment. And it's just going to be a good thing for you to see if you're heading in the right direction, if your writing is what it's supposed to be at, and if you've completed most of the checklist, right? So come into office hours. This is going out Wednesday, so you still have Wednesday and Thursday to come into office hours to get that extra credit and that extra help, right? But that is basically it. Wrap up. Remember, what does it mean to be a storyteller? That is the question you should be answering in your cover letter, right? And look out for that district assessment. I'm going to be uploading to the course homepage tomorrow. I think it's going to be titled District 9-Week Assessment. And remember, turn in your grades before midnight on Thursday, which is tomorrow, right? And specifically make sure that you turn in this portfolio on time, right? If you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, you know how to reach me. Message me on Schoology, email me, or come into office hours, or the question board, right? But other than that, that is it for Module 1. And I will see you here for Module 2, Lesson 1 on Tuesday. I'm going to guess Tuesday. Bye.